All right, let's dive into the absolutely epic history of one of the wealthiest, most powerful empires the world has ever seen. Seriously, this is a story about prophecy, about unbelievable fortunes, and about a kingdom that completely changed what it means to be wealthy. Every great legend has an unforgettable beginning. And the story of the Mali Empire, well, it doesn't start with some mighty king on a throne. No, it starts with an underestimated kid, a boy who everyone counted out but who was destined for greatness against absolutely impossible odds. So, our first chapter is all about the rise of this hero. We're talking about the founder of the empire, Sundiata Keita, who would become known as the Lion Prince. His story is just this incredible journey of overcoming everything to fulfill a truly grand destiny. And here you can see the incredible contrast between the two main players in this origin story. On one side, you've got Sundiata Keita, the prophesied Lion Prince, and on the other, you have the villain of the story, Soumaoro Kanté, the Sorcerer King. This guy ruled through sheer terror and was said to be invincible. It's the classic, battle of a destined hero against a super powerful tyrant. And in the year 1235, it all came to a head. We're talking about the epic Battle of Quirina. But this wasn't just two armies clashing. This was a showdown where steel literally met sorcery. Sundiata, armed with a special arrow tipped with the sorcerer's only weakness, faced Soumaoro and shattered his power for good. But here's what's so amazing. The Mali Empire wasn't just built on winning a war. Out of this victory came something called the Mandan Charter, which is one of the earliest known declarations of human rights in history. Think about that. Sundiata founded his empire on these revolutionary ideas of liberty and dignity for everyone. Okay, so let's fast forward a few generations. A new ruler is on the throne, but his ambition? It wasn't for more land or more gold. As we get into our next chapter, you'll see his eyes were fixed on something else entirely, that vast, unknown ocean. And this really makes you think, right? Just imagine for a second you are the ruler of the wealthiest empire on Earth. What could possibly convince you to give all that up? Well, for the king Mansa Abubakari II, the answer was the horizon. So in a move that nobody saw coming, Abubakari II just abdicates. He gives up the throne, he gets a massive fleet together, and sails west, right into the Atlantic, and was never seen again. He chose the mystery of the sea over his entire empire, leaving his second-in-command, a man named Musa, to take over in 1312. And that brings us to the most famous ruler in Mali's history, the man who kinda inherited the empire by chance and then turned it into a global legend, Mansa Musa. Okay, this is where the Golden Age really kicks off. So in 1324, Mansa Musa sets off on his legendary pilgrimage to Mecca. But look, this was not just some quiet religious trip. It was a massive, glittering procession. And when he stopped in Cairo, he gave away so much gold, so much, that he single-handedly crashed the city's economy. The inflation he caused lasted for more than a decade. This wasn't just being generous. It was a brilliant strategic move. With that one journey, Mansa Musa basically put his empire on the world map. The message to everyone, from Europe to the Middle East, was clear, it was powerful, and it was simple. Mali has arrived. And oh, by the way, it is fabulously, almost unimaginably wealthy. But here's the thing. Musa knew that true wealth wasn't just about gold. He invested his fortune to turn Timbuktu into a global capital for culture and intellect. He brought back architects from as far away as Andalusia in Spain to build these magnificent mosques and transform the University of Sankore into a world-famous center for learning and science. This, right here, is the essence of Mansa Musa's genius. He basically understood the idea of soft power centuries before anyone even came up with the term. He got that gold runs out, but knowledge, reputation, those are currencies that last forever. He ruled not just with military might, but with prestige and influence. But, as history always seems to teach us, even the brightest golden ages have to end. The greatness of a ruler like Musa can cast a very long shadow, and it turns out it was a shadow his successors really struggled to grow in. The decline wasn't sudden. It was more like a slow unraveling, and it was caused by three main things. First, you had internal corruption and a ton of infighting among Musa's heirs, which weakened the empire from the inside. Second, powerful neighbors like the Songhai started to rise up and challenge Mali's dominance. But it was that third factor that was the one that really sealed its fate.
Okay, look closely at this, because this explains everything. Mali's power came from controlling the trade routes that went across the Sahara Desert. Gold flowed north, and the Mansa basically controlled the tap. But then, in the 15th century, Portuguese navigators opened up new sea routes along the coast. All of a sudden, gold started flowing west, across the ocean, completely bypassing the empire. Its economic heart was just cut out.
So the empire fell. The borders disappeared, and the gold was spent. But what's left, right? What is the eternal legacy of this once great civilization?
This, right here, is the ultimate lesson of the Mali Empire, and it's all embodied by Mansa Musa. His gold is long gone, sure, but his investment in knowledge, in culture, in building a center of learning that enlightened the world, that legacy is still here. He proved that what you give to the world is so much more valuable than what you just keep for yourself. And that kind of leaves us with a final thought. The story of Mali teaches us that all that material wealth, it's temporary. It really makes you wonder, beyond our own modern obsessions with money and power, what are we building that will actually last? What knowledge, what culture are we sharing that people might remember centuries from now?